anybody can look into this flat Earth thing, biblical cosmology. The reason it takes so long for some people get it right away, but a majority don't get it right away, because it's not that they're fighting the empirical scientific evidence of a static breath realm. They're not, because that's easy to prove. It is easily provable. There were a couple of real aha moments for me, but this was really that's probably got to be in the top 5. It's the simple horizon test. If you actually lived on a sphere and you lifted up, if you climbed to a mountain, if you got in an airplane, if you took a weather balloon, if you went up to 100,000 feet or higher, if you lived on a ball, the horizon you'd have to look down. You'd have to look out and down. And that's not our reality, folks. Our reality is on the right side of the screen. Right here. The horizon always rises to meet your eye level. It always does. And that's a law of perspective that visually, regardless of where you are, whether you're looking down the end of a long table or a long road or up on a mountain or in an airplane, that's a law of perspective that it always rises to eye level. And that's simple. That's simple. And the other side of that hypothesis, so if you say, well, I believe that the Earth is flat, that's my hypothesis, how do I go about proving it? Well, this is a good one. This is a big one. Because a sphere is, what do we know it as, boys and girls? A set of points, when connected, creates constant curvature in all directions. So as soon as you'd start lifting up, you would see that horizon go down. You don't live on a sphere, folks. You don't live on a sphere. That's one easy test to prove. But the big space news today, I'm going to have to put an earpiece on in this too, was Boeing and SpaceX, NASA in all of its wisdom, in all of its grand and glorious, we're never going to be responsible for anything because let's not forget, we were a group of German scientists that were saved by the American government because they thought they could go to outer space after 1948 because they had such a great rocket program over there. So we brought them over here, gave them their own government agency, and they went to work. And after they went down to the South Pacific in the early 60s, which I always like to remind everyone, my father was a part of Operation Fishbowl. He was a helicopter pilot with the Marine Corps, and they flew every day for 9 months. They were down there doing that. Lost my train of thought. Old, slow, and Parkinson's runs in my family. But at any rate, what were we talking about? Oh, NASA, unbeknownst to us who don't keep a real critical eye on the space program, but do watch what happens so we can have a good laugh, gave 2 contracts, one to Boeing and then one to SpaceX, of course, to see who could get the best rocket build for this Orion program that's going to take them to the moon. They're going to make it a competition. Once again, creating what I call three moons behind the 8 ball. The lies are so steeped in imagination that you don't even know what's real and what's not real, so you believe it's all real. So let's go to the SpaceX's description of their space capsule that apparently NASA is going to win the grand corporate prize to, because Boeing lost theirs. Let's go with the winners first, shall we?
Now we come to SpaceX's Crew Dragon capsule. There's really no arguing that SpaceX made the better looking and downright sexy spaceship.
This is all marketing.
It truly is stunning. And quite frankly, the radical departure from the norm really seems to have been pulled off brilliantly. Just look at how easy it is to get into this thing compared to the Starliner.
That's a space
capsule. I have no
capsule.
doubt the Crew Dragon capsule didn't cut any corners in safety, considering they had to answer to NASA on every single millimeter of the thing. So when it comes to pure cool factor, I'm going to have to give the leg up to SpaceX. After
Yeah,
hearing from a
it's
few
cool,
people who
man.
have used the touchscreens, we're talking about hardcore
It's
pilots
like he was
here.
describing
They
a
have
dress.
voiced missing a more traditional control scheme, saying it does feel a little bit like flying an iPad. But lastly, seeing a Falcon 9 land after delivering crew to the ISS will be a nice cherry on top. And although, of course, it won't be landing back at Kennedy Space Center, I never get tired of seeing
this
this.
nonsense,
So no matter how
this
you cut it,
nonsense
you
is
can't go
ridiculous.
wrong. NASA hired 2 incredible companies to come up with some truly exciting new rides to space. NASA should be proud of this new program. It saved them money and now offers a variety of options. So now they actually have some overlap and redundancy in humanity's access to space.
That's important.
And all of this
Overlap
video
and
was intended
redundancy.
to highlight the commercial crew program. To be perfectly honest, I wound up really appreciating the space shuttle more after diving into this. That thing was something really special. I mean, yes, of course it had its flaws, and it didn't quite live up to the hype of making spaceflight cheaper or safer, but boy, oh boy, did it have some unmatched capabilities. So great job NASA, Boeing, and SpaceX. I honestly couldn't be more excited for this new chapter of spaceflight.
I couldn't be more excited if it was a chiffon dress. Did you catch all that? It's cool. It's sexy. It's like flying an iPad. How about any of the technical propulsion systems that might explain to the layperson a little bit better how you can generate thrust in a 10 to the minus 17 torr vacuum of space? That'd be nice. That'd be fun. We've only been asking for 50 years. So anyway, Boeing lost their capsule. So I've been laughing all weekend long. So what did I wake up to this morning? Boeing found their capsule. It had landed somewhere with the what do they call them? They have airbags on the bottom of their capsule too, folks. They have explosion cushions, I think they call them. Yeah, explosion cushions. So as the capsule comes down, aerodynamically incorrect, by the way. Aerodynamically incorrect, all right? Anything flies, it flies with the cone first, right? The cone comes down. The thin end comes down. The fat end doesn't come down first. The tip comes down first, not NASA. You know why? Because you can't land 3 guys in an upside down ice cream cone. You got to make it as comfortable as possible for them. And they got you imagining some sort of craziness that they come out of outer space at 17,500 miles an hour, which how the human body can withstand that, I have no earthly idea. But if you were to believe that, then they crash through the atmosphere and it slows them down to an unbelievable rate of speed. It goes from 17,000 miles an hour to 800 miles an hour, and then to 600, and then 5, 4, 3, 2, and then this steaming hot capsule, the parachutes just pop out, and the parachute cords don't get burned up. The heat shields were there to protect the guys, but all that heat apparently doesn't affect the parachutes and the parachute cords. The people in our community, the critical Christian crowd, we know this. This is nothing new to us. For those of you who are new to this, I mean, NASA is just rife with unexplainable circumstances as to how they can do this with their spacecrafts and their aircrafts. It's absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. So anyway, on a Sunday, I'm getting ready for church. I'm going to keep this relatively short. I didn't think there was too much else that I wanted to go over this morning. I just wanted to share a couple of giggles and laughs with the saints of the subscription. And one of the saints of the subscription, I think it was Randall R., said something to the effect that, it's going to come to me again. I'm telling you, folks, stinky old fisherman, old slow Parkinson's runs in my family. It'll come to me. But he brought something up that was just obvious. I'll have to go in the comments and look at them. It was one of the posts. I've made YouTube posts, short snippets, vignettes for this group of nonsense out of Neil deGrasse Tyson's mouth cake hole. But a couple of points here before I close out. I was on Facebook and I had a ball earther actually say this. get ready for this. He actually said, in some great frustration, mind you, too, some great amount of frustration, he said, just because there's no curve doesn't mean it's not a ball. Because believe me, the one thing that all the biblical cosmologists are just screaming is, show us the curve. Show us the curve. Once you show us the curve, then we'll be fine, and we'll be happy again, and you can go on your merry little way. Just show us your curve on your ball. Well, their answer to that is, we don't have to show you a curve on our ball. You just have to believe us that it's a ball. Well, sorry, folks, it doesn't work that way. Absolutely does not work that way. The other thing was, and I did want to go over this, and a lot of these points are just redundant. I mean, they're just absolutely redundant. NASA space travel. Space travel is the only form of transportation to have not just zoomed forward in a wildly oxymoronic, ironic conundrum in forms of other transportation, from walking to running to riding a bicycle, and the kinds of how bicycles have evolved. Like I said, folks, man doesn't evolve, technology evolves. I'll say that again. Man does not evolve, technology evolves. So bicycles evolved, motorcycles evolved, airplanes evolved, trains evolved. Every form of travel we know on this static breadth realm has evolved, has gotten better, has become streamlined, has become more efficient, more effective, more cost effective, easier to purchase, easier to ride, simpler. Every form, every single form. Hot air balloons even got bigger and better and safer, except outer space. They just keep losing stuff and going backwards and not doing anything. And the latest news that they lost one of their space. How is it possible to lose a space capsule? How is that even possible? Folks, you just gotta quit believing in outer space. You just gotta quit. You gotta quit doing that. That's all I can say about that.